Hello, I'm here to present my Project X, the Element 1 and Element 2. Just an FYI, I was bottle feeding kittens, plus I have my additional cats here as well. So if you hear anything that's loud or screeching or things slamming, it's just my cats in a very small apartment. So just a heads up. So into my Project X, my degree is animal science because my goal is to become a veterinarian, do 4 years here at River Falls, and then 4 years at a veterinary college. And after multiple attempts, if I do not get in, my plan B is to still go into something related, such as animal rehabilitation or something into wildlife. So still sticking with the whole animal science area degree. But basically, talking about how papers or journalism, etc., is used in something that would be found in my area of study would be scientific research papers. And these are basically primarily scientific based. They're research to get out to the public, that are published for people to read and see and so on. So basically for my Project X Element 1, I went out and I found an example of a research paper that did fall in the category of animal science. It was basically about whether or not horses could recognize their handlers through seeing photographs of them. And these handlers ranged from ones that they had in the past to that they had previously now. And spoiler alert, they could actually identify their handlers, which was really cool. And I actually didn't read the entire research paper whole for whole because I had these elements that I could kind of skim through and pick through, and I could still understand what went on through the entire study instead of reading the whole 20-page document, which saves a lot of time. So that's why I'm going to explain these elements for Element 1 of Project X about what a scientific research paper should consist of. So basically, there's a title. The title should be descriptive, and when I say descriptive, it doesn't need to be this long of a title for someone to understand what the paper is about. Obviously a decent length, like a normal title that would be for an article or a paper, but just enough to give the potential viewer or reader an idea of what the paper is about and the findings. So next is the abstract. An abstract isn't needed for every single paper. It is only meant for, it's really only meant for really big double-digit papers. If I read a 2-page paper and I didn't like it, I'm like, whatever, it was 2 pages. But if I read a 20-page paper and it was pointless, then I'm like, I just wasted a lot more of my time. So an abstract of how I like to see it is it's basically kind of like a movie trailer. A movie trailer comes out, you watch the trailer, and you make the decision on whether or not you want to watch the movie from the trailer instead of watching the entire movie and wasting money, time, so on and so forth, being like, I didn't even like that movie in the first place. So it's kind of like that. And it's also kind of like when you see a book, you don't want to read the whole book and find out you hate it. You kind of flip the book over, you read the back, and then it has the description on there, and then that's how you make your decision. So again, an abstract is basically just to summarize the main part of the study. So, like I said, it's just the main part. So if somebody is looking to do a research project of their own or do a scientific paper, they can read this little small paragraph and be like, okay, sweet, I can use the findings from this one, or no, that's going to be a waste of my time. It has nothing I need in there. So then, of course, next is the intro. It's the introduction that leads into the scientific research paper. And the introduction is to kind of ease the viewer or the reader into the findings. And it basically explains why. What was the reason for this study and why it was done. And then it also goes in, sometimes they'll list information that the reader needs to know so they could better understand what is going on. So it just eases them in as kind of, again, a little hey, this is what's going on before they dump all this information on you. So then, of course, what's next is the materials and the methods. So it goes into describing, okay, we used this stuff, this is how we set up for it, This is how we're going to approach it. So it kind of gives like the game plan, so to say, like we need this, here's how we're going to go about it before, you know, it was actually dove in. It's planned out before the study actually takes on. So it just explains all of that and explains how they got the initial data that they did. And then, of course, next, this is like the main, I guess, kind of say, is like the results. What happened? What were the findings of this scientific like study? It's what they set out to go. They wanted to find results. So then, of course, it gives the results, like a lot of numerical data, all of that. And then after they explain the results of the study, like, hey, this is what happened, you know, we found what we're looking for, our theory tested positive or it tested negative. And then next there's like the discussion, you know, kind of doing some more following up, etc. And then there's the summary, which is basically the conclusion, to wrap everything together instead of just being like, okay, we're done. It's just like the conclusion that brings everything together. And then next, of course, is the references, everything that was used in the paper, so on and so forth, like how they got the information they did from other sources so they can have credit. So then for my element 2, I basically wrote my own short scientific research paper, and I basically did it. The title of mine was The Physical and Mental Gangs from Companion Animals. So it's still focusing on the like animal science base and how animals can be incorporated into our life and have all these awesome, amazing things happen because of it. So that was the intro, or not the intro, that was the title of mine, which somebody can easily tell what my paper is going to be about. It's going to be about animals and the benefits that humans receive from them. So basically, I did my introduction, I explained basically how Americans and people are more stressed out, more worried, more angry, and feel more grief overall in their day-to-day life than they did, let's just say, 20 years ago. Like right now, everybody's the most stressed, depressed, you know, unhealthy than they were in a while, or at least they feel that way. So I did the introduction, and then that's the purpose of why this study was done. And then I went into, of course, the like breakdowns of it, like the facts, the scientific parts of it. And, you know, I went into basically, like, long story short, I went in how animals basically help people out physically because, you know, a lot of people don't get physical exercise because they say they don't have time for it, and, you know, they don't make that a priority. However, when you get an animal, that animal becomes top of the priority list. So if you tell someone to go for a 30-minute walk every single day before they had a dog, they'll be like, I don't have time for that. But when they get a dog, magically that 30 minutes they have. So you know what I mean? So it gets them physical. And they go for that 30-minute walk. Plus there's all the other additional times that they have to do with their dogs, you know, playing with them and, you know, just the general care and maintenance that animals have. It actually showed an improvement of them doing more exercise because that little bit that they got from the animals motivated them to be more active on their own terms, not just from their pets. And of course, exercise, when you get physically better, you get mentally better as well, and you feel better all around. So it's like a win-win from all sides. And then of course there is the mental benefits. Of course you mentally feel better once you exercise, get the feel-good hormones going. But, you know, people get lonely. Sometimes it's hard to talk to people, so they have animals. And, you know, it showed even just petting animals releases endorphins, all different kinds of hormones that make people feel more relaxed. And, you know, it gives them a sense of purpose. And having animals really can be the reason why somebody gets out of bed in the morning. So, you know, just seeing all these physical and mental gangs, they decided that it was a good idea to start incorporating animals into therapy. And this is called animal-assisted therapy, also known as AAT. So basically, animals were incorporated into different types of therapies, which was awesome because it's not just for people who you know, are mentally sick. It's for people who are physically disabled as well. Like horseback riding can help fine motor skills. It can help improve balance and just overall health wise. So it can help people who are physically disadvantaged, but also people who are mentally like disabled too, because people who are depressed, riding the horse, the rocking from it actually mimics the, like when a baby's in a womb, like the rocking, and it actually mimics that into people, and like that rocking stimulates like a feeling of, hey, relaxation and everything. So the same act, horseback riding, gives so many different results, and that's just how amazing it is, because that is one example, and there's so much more that gets applied. And that's why a lot of animals are used in therapy instead of like, you know, person therapy, or, you know, therapy that one person is responsible for. So it really shows that, you know, just having an animal is a way to help people out. And so basically, yeah, that's my Project X, the element 1 and element 2 of everything. And yeah, everything that I just explained is applied into the animal science field, and it can be applied to so much more spectrums, but this is the main one. But yeah, well, thank you for listening to my like 12-minute video of my Project X, but thank you.